How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and I've got a great one for you today. What are the best things to do when living in Denver, Colorado? Let's find out. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Jimmy Everett, and listen, if you're interested in learning all the pros and cons, ins and outs to moving to or around Denver, Colorado, then this is the channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon popping up, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And listen, as much as I love being here, getting a little creative for you here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage lender helping people buy homes all across the state. And I'm also teamed up with some of the best realtors the state has to offer. So the number and email popping up below, I'm always the person answering your phone calls, answering your texts, answering your emails, there when and if you need me. All right, so now that we have that fun-filled stuff out of the way, let's get to what we're here for, and that is what are the best things to do when living in Denver, Colorado. So I gotta tell you, I don't wanna keep you here for 45 minutes, not that you're gonna watch me for that long, covering all of the things that you can do in Denver, Colorado. So I'm gonna start kind of downtown with some of my top, my favorites, and then we'll move outside. All right, guys, so let's start with the artsy fartsy stuff for those of you. So first two, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, which is right downtown, and the Denver Museum of Art. Now, I admit I'm more of a science and nature guy. It's right next to City Park. I love some of the exhibits there. It's more my vibe. My fiance, who tends to tell me what to do on a pretty consistent basis, she's more of a museum of art. She likes to see some of the different exhibits. They're constantly changing it up, but they're both pretty centrally located. They're convenient to get to, not too difficult. Definitely want to keep those on your list. Now, let's say it's a beautiful, nice day out, the sun's out. We talk about it in Denver all the time. You get 300 days of sunshine, you got to take advantage of them. So you got a couple places downtown. One, you got the Denver Zoo. And if you're not into animals, you should probably just turn off the video because we're probably not going to get along anyway. I kid. So you got the Denver Zoo right downtown, again, right next to City Park, centrally located. And the zoo just keeps getting better and better. They got a lot of different exhibits, a lot of different animals. I'm not gonna get into the political side of zoos and all of that stuff. I'm just telling you it's here and it's pretty cool to check out. There you have it. And right next to the zoo, right downtown, and I'm gonna get made fun of for this, but is the Botanic Gardens. So the Botanical Gardens, which is just this huge outdoor plaza it's a huge garden. And to me, it's one of my favorite things to do when it's nice outside, nice summer day. I grab a cup of coffee, I go there. It's only a few bucks, not very expensive to go through. And you just kind of stroll through it, different paths, and seeing all the different flowers and all the different things. And yes, again, feel free, make fun of me for it. But it's just a great way to spend a day. It's the type of place where you just feel soothing and calm. And randomly, I will add to those two locations, the Denver Zoo and the Botanical Gardens, is the light shows, the events that they put on right around Christmas. So those two venues, and the Botanical Gardens especially, they put up literally hundreds of thousands of lights in those two parks for you to go, pay a few bucks again, and walk through them. It's spectacular, definitely something to check out. Something that I resisted for several years, just thinking like, I'm not going to the Botanical Gardens and looking at lights. And then you go and you're like, all right, I'm into it. It's kind of like watching The Lion King, right? Like you think you're tough, you think you're too tough for The Lion King, and then you watch it and you're like, okay, I get it now. I'll hold my lion cub up, okay. All right, next up on the list, let's say you still want to see some animals, but you want to be more indoors. You have the Denver Aquarium, which is kind of right on the edge of downtown. It's right off of I-25 in Spear. And the Denver Aquarium has a lot of cool exhibits, a lot of different things. For some reason, they have tigers there. I always forget that because there's a certain section as you're walking through the aquarium and you're seeing fish of different sorts, of course. And then randomly, to kind of backtrack, you're allowed to bring your dogs with you to the aquarium. You can walk them through. And I mean, technically they're supposed to be service animals, but I've seen days where people just bring their dogs. But there's a section of the aquarium where it specifically tells you, don't bring your dog in here. And if you don't have a dog with you, you don't really think about it. You're like, that's weird that I would bring my dog to the aquarium, I guess, but it's also weird that for some reason I can't go into this area. And then you realize that there are these enormous cats that might want to try to get through the cage and eat your dog. Not that they could actually get there, but I mean, that would probably scare the crap out of me if a random big ass cat tried to latch on to one of my dogs, who are not very fast and certainly not capable of fighting a tiger. Sticking around downtown, you should check out Union Station. So Union Station, the train hub, where all the trains come in and out of, is also just a really cool place. It's got a hotel in it. It's got multiple restaurants, brewery, coffee shop. It's just a cool vibe. It's a space to go down and just kind of spend a day in. It's not like an activity per se, but it's just a great place if you want to meet friends, if you want to check things out. And it's kind of, it's the heart of downtown. It's the heart of this little area. So there's a lot of walkability around Union Station and just a great place to spend a day, whether you are off and just want to check some things out, or maybe you need an office of the day, you're going to work somewhere. Union Station is one of the better places to check out. And a little bonus, because I always loved it as a kid, and then they maybe made it better in the movie Titanic, is the Molly Brown house. So if for some reason you haven't seen Titanic yet, which I'm not going to judge you on, anyway, Molly Brown, the unsinkable Molly Brown, was one of the survivors of the Titanic. Very, very wealthy woman. Her and her husband were big into gold and everything out here in Denver. And so they have a couple houses, and one of them is the Molly Brown house downtown, which I'm definitely going to show you some video of because I love the Molly Brown house. But that is downtown and a great place to check out. I remember going there as a kid, and as I'm walking through, and I was probably like 4th or 5th grade, and I just thought, like, how cool would it be to live in this house? I didn't even think about the neighborhood or anything. It's just one of the coolest houses you ever see and a great place to check out. So go to the Molly Brown Museum, check out the house, watch Titanic, ask yourself, why couldn't Kate Winslet just slide over a little bit on the door so Leo could have gotten on? Buoyancy, I don't understand it, but there you go. Listen, I feel it. You're getting more and more into all these fun things that you can do in Denver, Colorado, but my list hasn't covered all of the things for you. So now's the perfect time to hit me up. Phone call, text, email, the number popping up below, email popping up below. Always a resource there when you need me. So sticking downtown, Denver has a huge sports scene. Now, I'm not saying that the teams are very good at the moment, although some of them are better than others, but we've got every sport. You've got the Denver Broncos in football, you got the Colorado Rockies in baseball. You can make jokes about them being a minor league team. They're going to play that way. Nuggets in basketball, Colorado Avalanche in hockey, Colorado Mammoth in lacrosse, Colorado Rapids in soccer. You've got everything. Everywhere you go, they've got a pro rugby team here. So if you're into sports, the scene here is great. And I'll tell you, Nuggets and Avalanche games at Ball Arena, we called it the Pepsi Center for the longest time, right downtown, they're a blast. And the Avalanche, they're freaking good. They're right now the best team in hockey. See if they win the cup. Rockies games, I mean, I'll just admit to you, it's baseball, right? You go to the park, you have yourself a couple beers, maybe a hot dog, you walk around a little bit, catch a few innings. I mean, the Rockies don't win very often, but I mean, it is what it is. And I am obviously biased to Bronco games. I've been a season ticket holder for as long as I can remember. Try to go to all the games. They haven't been the best the last few years, but the stadium is still packed. It's always sold out. You get a pretty good vibe. We got a new coach, so hopefully they'll start winning again. But you definitely want to check out a Broncos game. Now, at some point, you didn't come to Denver to just spend time around the city. You came here to get out and about, so you got to talk about the parks. Now, if you are downtown, you're talking about City Park, Confluence Park, Cheeseman Park, some great areas. Just kind of walk around again, grab that cup of coffee, throw out a blanket for a picnic, volleyball, softball, all of those things. But you also have some great state parks that aren't too far away. So you've got Chatfield Reservoir is a great place to check out. Chatfield, one of the larger bodies of water that's close to Denver, big enough for boating if you're into water skiing and that sort of thing. It has a beach, so if you want to try to get the vibe of going to the beach for the day, you can go there. It's got a trail. It's great for biking. It's great for camping if you enjoy camping and you want to be somewhat close to the city. You don't have time to get up into the mountains. And Chatfield has one of the best dog parks you're ever going to see. It's off leash. It's got great size and it's got a trail around it. So your dog can kind of hang out with you. It can run off a little bit, play with other dogs, but then it can come back. And it also has a couple ponds inside that are big enough if your dogs like to get out and swim in a little bit. It's safe. It's a great place, Chatfield Reservoir. Going farther south, you're about 45 minutes from the city, you're gonna check out a place called Roxborough Park. The reason I bring up Roxborough, growing up here, I didn't even get down there that often, but every time I get down to Roxborough Park, I ask myself, why don't you get down here more often? It looks like something out of Jurassic Park. So if you've ever seen or you've ever visited Red Rocks, which we're gonna talk about, you see you have these rocks that come out of the ground like this. Well, Roxborough has that everywhere. And it's green and it's plush and you've had these big ass trees and then you have just these beautiful rock formations. It looks like something out of a story. It looks like something where you are going to see a T-Rex or a Brontosaurus come around the corner. It's just incredible and something you have to check out. And I'd be remiss to not mention Cherry Creek State Park, which is gorgeous. Again, nice body of water you can get boats out on, hiking, biking, everything. Aurora Reservoir, which is, again, a little east and more of a community vibe to it, but it's a great reservoir, no doubt. And then I have to add Bear Creek Lake Park. And I add Bear Creek Lake Park because it's close to me. It's one of my favorite hangouts. It's a great place to bring boats out to. You get ice fishing in the wintertime randomly, but just a huge park, lush, a lot to do there, and very convenient, close to the city if we're not talking about getting crazy and going outside of the city hours. Now, if you're into more of a wild time, you can go to Elitch's or you can go to Lakeside. So if you're into theme parks, if you're into roller coasters, spinning around, getting sick, all that good stuff, you've got two options. You have Elitch's, which is downtown, pretty close to Ball Arena, where the Nuggets and the Avalanche, where the Nuggets and Avalanche play. And Elitch's, I want you to think about Elitch's. At one time, it was a Six Flags, if that gives you some type of vibe, but it's kind of a current, nice, hip place to go. It also has a water park in it. Now, at some point, Elitch's is going to get moved, but it's going to be there for a while, so no worries there. To counter Elitch's is a local phenomenon we call Lakeside. So Lakeside is just a little north of Denver, northwest, kind of close to Sloan's Lake in the Highlands. And Lakeside is your classic rickety carnival ride type place. The roller coaster's been there for 100 years. You get on it. It shakes the entire time you're on it. Your knees feel like they're gonna fall off because they're hitting against the bar as you ride across this roller coaster, but it's outstanding. And they haven't, listen, no one's been hurt at Lakeside, but every time you get on one of the rides, you just wonder, like, am I going to be the person that gets made? It's an outstanding place to go, though. You need to check out Lakeside. Even if you only go on a couple rides, it's just a great place. And being called Lakeside, it's right next to a lake. It's a beautiful venue. It's just old and classic and historic, something magical about it. So you got Elitch's new, Lakeside old, but you got to visit both of them. Now, Denver is also big with music venues. So if you're getting into music venues, there's a lot of indoor places you can check out and some outdoor places like Fiddler's Green. But if we're gonna talk music, we're gonna talk about music anywhere near Denver, you're going to Red Rocks Amphitheater. In fact, if I was going to make a list of top 10 places to see in Denver, Red Rocks would probably come in one or two. It's one of the top places to see, period. And as far as music, it's been ranked the #1 outdoor amphitheater in the world several times, depending on who you're listening to. Red Rocks is incredible. And it's not just for music. You should definitely go there and you should check out a concert at some point. I don't care if you move here or you're visiting here, you should make it a point in your life to hear music played live at Red Rocks. But you can also check out Red Rocks for a variety of different things. They have fitness on the rocks, where people are up there on the weekends working out. You've got yoga on the rocks, where people are doing their yoga stuff. You've got a movie on the rocks, where they'll play a few movies. There's like 6 or 7 played each year, where you just go up there, sit, and watch a movie. It's such a great venue. It's such a great vibe. All right, so obviously you didn't come to Denver, or you're not thinking about moving to Denver with the idea that everything you're gonna do is right around the city. So as we start to get outside of the city, one, you got to check out Boulder. Now, all jokes aside, people will tell you Boulder is filled with hippies hugging trees and everything, but Boulder is a cool ass town. Right along the Flatirons, some amazing hiking and biking up there, and Boulder's just a cool town. As you come up 36th Highway, coming out of Denver, you just kind of come over this hill and you pull down into the bowl that is Boulder. And it's just a gorgeous town. Once you get down into Boulder, you're gonna wanna walk around Pearl Street, check out the vibe there. You have CU Colorado University, University of Colorado, CU, however they want to call it, but CU's up there, gorgeous campus, Folsom Field, all that good stuff. Boulder's going to be one of your go-to just little towns to check out, and it's call it a 45-minute drive from downtown Denver, so it's not like you're extending yourself a long ways. And then one of the great things about Denver in general is the fact that you have a lot of vacation destinations, places that people will fly into Denver to come visit from all over the country. And for you, they're an hour to call it 3 hours outside of town. So you can get up to towns like Estes Park, which is a beautiful little mountain town. It's where the Stanley Hotel, where Stephen King wrote The Shining, is found. Not the hotel from the movie The Shining itself, but unless you're talking about the miniseries, and that sucked. But Stanley Hotel, great place to check out. Also was in Dumb and Dumber, if that's a better reference. But Estes Park, just a great mountain town. It's good in the winter and the summer. There's some ski parks, close by, but Estes Park has this great just main strip filled with all sorts of boutiques and shops and restaurants, and more candy shops than I can possibly fathom how to use. There's got to be 5 or 6 different candy shops along the road. I don't know, maybe you just need to be jazzed up with sweets while you're in Estes Park. But then as you get up I-70, you're hitting Breckenridge and Frisco, and you get farther up into Vail and your Aspens and all of those things. And those are all within, again, anywhere from an hour. Breckenridge is going to take you about an hour and a half, to the long end where you're getting up to Vail and Aspen, you're a few hours away. And if you're going to make a 3-hour drive, you have to check out Glenwood Springs. Glenwood Springs, a hot springs, there's a couple pools there. For the longest time, there was just Glenwood Springs pool, a hot springs and a hot tub, amazing, gorgeous place. They've opened another one more recently, still in the same town. And Glenwood is just a great place to go and spend a weekend. It's got an alpine slide. It's got a place where you go into the Glenwood Caves, which is huge, cavernous areas. You'll see some of these massive caves. They call one of them the Barn, just huge. And they walk you farther and farther into these caves. You see just the coolest stuff. Every time I go to Glenwood Springs, I have to check that out. The pool's great. The town of Glenwood itself is pretty cool. And the thing that's nice about Glenwood is that even though you go up into the mountains, Glenwood Springs sits in a valley, and its altitude is very similar to Denver's. When all is said and done, you kind of go up the mountain and back down. So from a temperature standpoint, Glenwood Springs is pretty mild. The valley keeps a lot of the snow away from it. So even if you're up there around Thanksgiving, Christmas, you're in January, you don't tend to get bogged down by the winter. So if you're going to Glenwood Springs and you're thinking, well, we can't go, it's wintertime, we won't be able to use the pools. No, the pools are open year round. And I've been in that pool right around Thanksgiving and right around the middle of January, and it's outstanding. There's something about getting into a nice, warm sulfur pool when it's kind of chilly outside. Fantastic. So Colorado has 58 14ers. And again, much like the 300 Days of Sunshine that you're going to be told about at nauseum, you're going to be told about these 14ers and the fact that there are 58 of them. And they are all over the place. And it's a great experience. You get up, sometimes you get on the trail early. There are even some hikes where people love to do where you get up in the middle of the night, you start your hike, and you try to hit the summit by the time the sun comes up. You see the sunrise. Gorgeous. Something to definitely check out there if you're into that. But 14ers are a big deal. Kind of one of the funny things is we have 58 14ers, but Denver has 580 13ers. So I don't know, 13ers just get the knock. Nobody cares about them because there's so many of them, but we have 580. So when you talk about these different hikes, there's trails everywhere. And you don't have to go far from Denver to see some of these great trails. You take a 30-minute to 45-minute drive outside of Denver in various directions. You can go south down into Roxborough Park. You can go west into towns like Morrison, right around Red Rocks. There's some great hiking trails. You get north, Boulder is covered in great hiking trails. So you can get deep into the mountains and camp and bike and hike and do all that stuff. But if you just want a day excursion, if you just want to get out of town for an hour or two, take a hike and come back, it's right there for you. So when it comes to fun things to do in Denver, you have the full spectrum, the full variety. You've got your indoor, you've got your artsy stuff, you've got your nature stuff right downtown, a lot of eclectic stuff. Obviously, you have your restaurants and your bars, and you're going to check out breweries. Got to check out those. But then you can get outside of town, not too far, get up into the mountains, hiking, biking, camping, skiing. I know a lot of people are probably watching this video and you're like, man, you didn't even talk about the skiing. That's probably because, again, I'm not much of a skier. I'm more of a fall down the mountaineer. But you have all of the ski lodges as you get up into the mountains. Most of them are going to be up I-70, but so many of them within an hour to 2 hours, 2 on the max, 3 hours if you're not getting too extreme into the mountains for that. And listen, if there's something that I didn't cover in this video that's fun and you think I should add it, by all means, now's the perfect time to hit me up. So the phone number, email popping up below. I'm always the person answering your phone calls, answering your texts, answering your emails, answering why I'm an idiot and I didn't add something fun to do in Denver that you think I should have added. Now's the perfect time to hit me up. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am Jimmy Everetts. This has been the best things to do when living in Denver, Colorado. Until next time, peace.